had catfish. It was all Cajun style and blackened spiced. But since then, I've learned a lot of different things to do with catfish, and I want to make something that's kind of like a shepherd's pie or a cottage pie, but more along the lines of a seafood pie. I start with my obedient ingredient, catfish. I need to get that into my fridge. And I'm making a fish stock from scratch. It only takes about 20 minutes. And these fish bones are gonna add a lot of flavor. Some asparagus to twist up a salad, and some tarragon to make a sauce to replace that gravy in my seafood pie. All right. I'm gonna start by making a stock with these fish bones. My fishmonger hooked me up with these halibut bones because saltwater fish have a lot of flavor. I'm making a stock because it's gonna be the foundation of the flavor for my seafood pie. I got some celery, I got some fennel, and I also need an onion. I'm gonna chop it up. I want it fairly small because I want it to cook quickly. I only want about a quarter of this fennel, so I'm actually gonna use some of the tops as well. Just break those down. Now, sometimes I'll cheat and leave the skins of the onions in there. For a fish stock, you don't want that. You want a nice, refined, clean flavor, which means the skins come off. Onions go in. And like 99% of the time when I make a stock, bay leaves, black peppercorns. 3. 30. And I want to fill up my pot with just enough water to cover these vegetables. I always want a little bit of wine in a fish stock. Adds a little bit of that brightness on medium to medium-high heat. My stock's on the way. I want to get that creamy mashed potato topping for my seafood pie. 4 white potatoes will do the trick. White potato is the most basic of potato. It mashes up really well. My dad had a restaurant in the Caribbean for many years. And every morning he'd have people come just from the neighborhood, and they would sit down with about 50 pounds of potatoes, and they would peel fresh potatoes and slice them up to make basically French fries. And everybody would be there, and you hear all the stories and who's sleeping with who and whose kid is causing drama at the playground, and the potato housewives. I don't want to sit here and wait for potatoes to cook forever. So I'm gonna cut them up, not too big, not too small, so they'll cook fairly quickly. Beautiful thing. I want to make sure I start these potatoes in cold water. Excellent. A little bit of salt in there. Need to season the potatoes. Let's get that on there. Medium heat. My stock is on, my potatoes are on. I need to scald some milk and butter for my fisherman's pie. So a little bit of milk, a little bit of butter. This will just help make the potatoes nice and tender, creamy and silky. My shepherd's pie inspired meal is gonna end up being a fisherman's pie. Quicker than you can catch a fish. Tarragon is gonna help make a unique, flavorful sauce to moisten up my shepherd's pie. The rest is all gravy to me. My fish stock is done, 20 to 30 minutes max. Anything beyond that, and it starts to taste kind of flat. The potatoes for the fisherman's pie are almost tender enough to mash, and the milk and butter, scalding. For my stock, I don't want any of those vegetables. Or the fish bones. They've done their job. Now they can go to compost heaven to continue to do more good. Make sure you get as much of that juice as you possibly can. Excellent. Get a nice shallow pan on with a wide open base so that my fish stock can reduce quickly. I want to concentrate the flavor of that fish stock because you don't get a tasty pie without a hearty stock. So let's get that on, get a rolling boil so it reduces quickly. Okay? My potatoes are cooked, so let me make sure. If I give my potatoes a gentle press, you see that it breaks up quite easily. That's how I know it's done. These potatoes are gonna form the topping of my fisherman's pie. I got a fancy tool here called a ricer. Think of it as an overgrown garlic press. And just like a garlic press, press away. I like to use a ricer when I'm mashing potatoes because it just forces the potato through and doesn't work the natural glutens. Also, makes it nice and light and fluffy. Don't waste any of that stuff. That's good flavor. My butter's melted. My milk is nice and warm. Just gonna dump it in. Let's give it a little mix. Oh, nice creamy mashed potatoes. I do know I need to season it a little bit more though. But right now it's a regular all-day mashed potato. But you know I gotta do a little bit of extras, a little something to make it rich and hold together. The magic, 2 eggs. I just want the yolks of the eggs, past the whites, back and forth through the shells, and I'm left with just the yolk. Or what you could do is you crack it into a bowl using your finger as a little net. Pinch it so you get rid of the whites. Now the yolks will add a nice flavor to it and also bring the color to life. More importantly, egg yolks will help the potatoes hold together so when they're cooking up, that they don't fall apart. Rest that off to the side. I'll be back there in a flash. Okay, while my fish stock is reducing, I'm gonna make a fancy thing called a beer marnier. I remember first time being in the hotel and the French chef said, "Go make me beer marnier." And I didn't know what it was. I was an apprentice, I'm running around, I have no idea. Basically, it's just 1 part flour and 1 part butter. Pretty close. Doesn't need to be an exact measurement. Mix those together. It starts to come together sort of like cream cheese icing on a carrot cake. Look at that. Perfect. I have a little bit more fish stock than I need here for the sauce, but I'm gonna need a little bit later to finish this fish pie. So, I'm just gonna put a little bit aside. Let's taste this fish stock, see how it's doing. See, it's so important to use fish bones from the sea. It adds such a depth of flavor that's just not there in river fish or lake fish. We just need to thicken it. My beer marnier is gonna do the trick. Start whisking away. Just break it up. I'm gonna need to whisk it so that there are no lumps. And already it's starting to thicken. I wanna let it simmer, not too high a heat. Just simmer away so it can continue to reduce and thicken. I wanna add a silkiness to it. So a little bit of cream, and to add a nice licorice-like flavor, some fresh tarragon. Maybe about 5 stalks is good. I can immediately start to smell the tarragon. It's filling the kitchen. It smells amazing. This fish sauce is gonna be out of control. My catfish pie is getting 1 step closer every single time I do something else. I'm super excited.